Home of the Sports Bash with Mike Gill, 97.3 ESPN, WENJ, WENJ HD, Millville, Atlantic City. 97.3 ESPN presents the Sports Bash with Mike Gill. It's time for Football at 4 with Andrew DeCecco, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast.
We're never satisfied. That hunger for more. I have it. Everyone has it.
Now live, this is Football at 4.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash, 4 o'clock hour here on 97.3 ESPN. Yes, it's Football at 4. Eagles day 2 of training camp. And of course, we on Thursdays talk with Andrew DeCecco. We got Eagles training camp. We also got our divisional preview series. So let's get into it right now. Andrew DeCecco, of course, Inside the Birds podcast, InsideTheBirds.com for all of his excellent Eagles coverage. And don't forget about the DeCecco Daily, which you can get on the Inside the Birds platforms as well. And he joins us right now on 97.3 ESPN. Andrew, welcome in. How you doing today, my friend?
Hey, Josh, I'm doing great. Football is back in South Philadelphia, and it just feels right, man.
It definitely does feel right. So a couple things I want to hit on with you from today at training camp. You know, we played the Vic Fangio press conference a little bit earlier today, and one of the questions he was asked about is something, Andrew, that you had previously brought up last year about Cooper DeJean, about how he was asked about them using him at safety. And I want to get your perspective on this because you are someone who keeps a very close eye on the draft. You evaluate those guys every year. So knowing what you know about DeJean coming out of college and now looking ahead to what you're seeing from him the last 2 years, obviously last year he started the year injured, but this year he's all full go at training camp, is what they're doing with DeJean now more in line with what you expected him coming out last year?
Yeah, it's a great question, Josh, and you have a good memory. When I scouted him and evaluated him throughout the draft process, I viewed him as a multifaceted defensive back that I thought his strength actually was at safety. I just think that his vision, his range, his anticipation and instincts really translates to that. He's also a tremendous corner, obviously, but to your question, yeah, I think that this is kind of more of what I envision because he's such a valuable asset to the defense, being able to wear so many different hats, being such a smart player, because you can only thrive and be able to play multiple positions if you are intelligent and have a good idea of the full look, the full makeup of the defense and all those responsibilities. So I think that it is something that is going to serve the defense well, and it just really underscores how important Cooper DeJean is for the defense's success in 2025.
You just mentioned about the intelligence. If I could just ask you about that really quick, because everyone talks about DeJean's athleticism, right? You know, he was a high school basketball player and all that kind of stuff. But is maybe DeJean's football IQ, could that actually be his most valuable trait?
I think so. His football IQ is off the charts. And that's one thing that if you go back and look at all the different safeties that Vic Fangio has presided over, I can think of off the top of my head, Dante Whitner, Eddie Jackson. They all have the same qualities, and they are instinctual, but they're also highly intelligent. And I think you look at the nickel position, which I would say is the toughest position to play on defense. You have to be intelligent because you have to know what all three levels of the defense are responsible for. You also have to, be able to account for different types of receivers, because it's not only, the Chris Godwins that are playing in the slot. It's also the Mike Evans type of receivers, and you don't have the sideline. And so I just think that, you take all that into consideration, also his ability to come up there and play the run and be a willing and run support and be that physical player. Yeah, I think he really is such a well-rounded player, but at the top of the list has to be his football intelligence.
Talking with Andrew DeCecco, of course, with that Eagles training camp today. Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Check out all of Andrew DeCecco's coverage of the Birds over at InsideTheBirds.com. Sticking on the defense, got to ask you about Jahad Campbell. Fangio talked about how, that basically that what they were talking and showing him in minicamp is already seemingly translating onto the field the first 2 days at training camp. What are your takeaways from Campbell right now? Because it seems like if you're kind of like to pay attention to what Fangio is saying, it sounds like if Campbell keeps performing the way he is in practice, that he could be your week 1 starter next to Bond?
Oh, yeah. I mean, we obviously have a long way to go, but all indicators are that he's ahead of schedule, because the timeline we were all given back in the spring was sometime in August. He's out there in a limited capacity, but he's doing team drills and with the second team. And talking to Zach Bond after day 1 of training camp, he mentioned, he did miss, some valuable time in the spring, but it doesn't look like he is very far behind. And I think that, again, speaks to the football acumen, but you can even see the traits, the length, just the range and the coverage acumen that he brings to that position. And it wouldn't surprise me if eventually he starts to get some looks with the first team and they sort of gradually implement him into that. And it wouldn't surprise me at all as well if he's the starting linebacker week 1. If he's healthy enough, you draft him in the first round, he's got to be your guy.
A lot of people on social media have been chirping and giving out opinions on Kelee Ringo. I want to get your perspective, Andrew, because people might not remember this, but this was a 5-star recruit out of high school before he got to Georgia, and he's actually one of the youngest guys on the roster, even though he's been here for a couple years. So what is your perspective on him right now, early on in camp?
Yeah, well, the star ranking and being young and all that, it doesn't really matter into this roster battle, this competition. It's about being consistent day in and day out and seizing opportunities. And, he had a tough practice day 1. Today was sort of unremarkable. There were no big plays, and he didn't make any plays. But it's going to be the ups and downs. You're going to constantly see Adoree Jackson and Kelee Ringo, rotating back and forth. Kelee Ringo started the first day, and then today he was, with the first team on 7-on-7s, and Adoree Jackson opened practice with the starters. I don't know that you can really gauge where he's at after 2 days of practice. He needs to be more technically sound, that's for sure, because I think where he struggles sometimes is he gets handsy. Sometimes it looks like he has trouble stopping or finding the football. And those are things that you have to be consistent in, and you have to make sure that those areas are refined if you want to nail down a starting spot in any defense, but especially one with Vic Fangio presiding over it, who really prioritizes being assignment sound. It's never been about the athleticism when it comes to Kelee Ringo. It's now about, can you be technically refined, and can they have confidence in you, because you are going to get targeted? Can they have confidence in you to hold down or be effective enough in that spot opposite Quinyon Mitchell?
Andrew, I've been waiting to ask you this question all week, and that is about, we had a conversation earlier this week about the running back position, and you are someone who has kept a very close eye on Will Shipley, a guy that you covered very closely over at InsideTheBirds.com with your series with him throughout last year. Is he in line, you believe, to be the primary third down back, or do you think he still needs to show that he can do some more things aside from being a third down back in order to become the bona fide number 2 behind Saquon?
No, I think he is going to be the third down back and the change of pace. When you look at Saquon Barkley and what he brings, I think from the ideal complement to Saquon Barkley would be someone like Will Shipley, who has a lot of juice. He's explosive. He catches the ball well. Saquon Barkley highlighted his footwork. It's going to come down to pass protection and where he's at in that area of his game, and we'll find out more about that when the pads come on. But I just really think that he is the quintessential change of pace option, whereas A.J. Dillon, if Saquon Barkley were to miss a game or two, that he can handle volume. He would be the guy in that situation. But in game, Josh, I think that would be Will Shipley. And I mean, you just see the different dimension that he provides to the offense every time he's been in there, really since the spring.
Check out more coverage of Eagles training camp. The corner competition continues over at InsideTheBirds.com. Andrew Checo here for Football at 4, powered by the Inside the Birds podcast. Andrew, before we get out of here, let's just do a quick overview of the AFC South that is part of our weekly series to previewing each division. Tell me, what are the teams you are keeping the closest eye on? Who is your favorite in the AFC South and why?
Yeah, I'll be keeping a close eye on the Houston Texans. I really like C.J. Stroud. Obviously, he was probably anointed a little bit too quickly as being one of the more elite quarterbacks in the NFL. But I like his receiving core. Nico Collins. They drafted Jaden Higgins in the second round this year. Christian Kirk is there. They also have some pieces on the offensive line that I think suggest that they're going to give him enough time to be able to facilitate the ball to those players, including Cam Robinson, Laken Tomlinson, Titus Howard's a player who I really like coming out of Alabama State. I think it was 2019, and they have Dalton Schultz there. So I think they have enough pieces offensively to keep that thing going. I also like the leadership of D'Amico Ryans. I think that he's really has left his mark on that team. There, he has a commanding presence and really good leadership. I can't really emphasize that enough. Without that foundation, you're not going to go anywhere, and they certainly have that solidified with him. And then defensively, you got guys like Will Anderson. I talked a lot about him going into the 23 draft. And Daniil Hunter's there, right? So C.J. Gardner-Johnson was traded there from Philadelphia. So they have a lot of players on both sides of the ball that are impactful and offer playmaking ability. Now it becomes, can C.J. Stroud become the player that he was in year one, or closely resembling the one in year one, and keep this thing moving forward?
For more NFL coverage, follow him on the X platform at Andrew the Checo. Of course, all of his work over at InsideTheBirds.com. And he joins us each week here on the Sports Bash of Football at 4 on 97.3 ESPN. Andrew, great stuff. Keep up the great work, my man.
I appreciate it, Josh. Take care, man.
Josh Hennig back here on 97.3 ESPN, filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. Of course, as always, Football at 4 is brought to you by Bet365. Wherever the sport, wherever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. And what is never ordinary is talking about Eagles training camp. So let's kind of review some of the items that Andrew talked about right there. You guys can chime in as well how you guys are feeling about the Eagles. Day 2 at training camp, 609-403-0973. That's the text board. You heard Andrew talking about the cornerback position. He says, look, it doesn't matter who Kelee Ringo is or what his background is. He said, what matters is him getting consistent on the field. And I think that was a very interesting point by him, because it really does go to show you that the mentality of this team. We talked about what Howie Roseman and Nick Sirianni said yesterday about young players, about the idea that, listen, this organization doesn't care who you are. If you're the best player, you're going to get on the field. And that was something that was expressed by Howie and Nick Sirianni yesterday. Here was the Eagles head coach on that yesterday, as heard here on 97.3 ESPN.
We played young guys last year. Again, we'll play the guys that best help us win football games. That's what we're in the business of, is winning football games. So the best guys that help us win football games will be the guys that are in there, young, old, middle. It doesn't matter.
And to some people, that might be coach speak. But in the reality, that is not just coach speak for the Eagles. That is something they have demonstrated, right? So now you got Kelee Ringo in his third year with the team. He basically redshirted his first year. Last year, he became, for all intents and purposes, the number 4 corner, because you had Darius Slay, Quinyon Mitchell. They were the 2 outside main corners. Your number 3 was the veteran Isaiah Rodgers. Well, Rodgers is no longer here. And then the Eagles, they are giving Kelee Ringo the opportunity to prove himself, but they brought in veteran corner Adoree Jackson to push him, to put him in a position where it's like, hey, Kelee, we're not anointing you anything. You got to earn this opportunity. And Adoree Jackson, this is a former first-round draft pick. Adoree Jackson, has he lived up to being a first-round draft pick? No, he hasn't. But Adoree Jackson is a freakish athlete. He is a guy who is well known for having a high upside. So now what you're doing is you're telling Kelee, look, this guy played in the league for 8 years. It's your job to prove that you deserve this job. It's your job, Kelee Ringo, to prove that you are a more reliable cover corner than a guy who has started 82 games in the NFL. it's Keely Ringo's job to prove that he should be the starter. So that is a very interesting point there by Andrew DeCecco. I'm glad he brought that up. The other thing about Jahad Campbell I thought was interesting was the fact that, Campbell is a guy who, as Andrew said, he's basically he is beating his projected timeline in terms of when he was supposed to return. Now, I will say, I am not a medical expert, and I did not stay at a Holiday Inn Express last night. But what I can tell you is that a young man who played through a torn labrum because he did not want to get off the field. He wanted to be on the field with his teammates. And because of him playing through that injury, put him in a position where he had to wait until after the college football season to have this surgery. That does not sound like a guy who's going to be milking it. That does not sound like a guy who's going to be like, oh, coach, man, my shoulder doesn't feel right. I can't be out there today. That sounds like a guy who attacks his training. It sounds like a guy who's going to look at his rehab and say, I am going to beat the timetable. I am going to outprove everybody. I deserve to be on the field. And you're playing for your hometown team. Jahad Campbell grew up as an Eagles fan. So you know that he wants to be on the field. He wants to wear that midnight green, that Kelly green, that green and white. He wants to be in uniform. He wants to be on the field. There is no question that this organization wants Campbell on the field, and Campbell wants to also get on the field as soon as possible. Now, what his primary role is going to be, well, that's up for conversation because Vic Fangio, as we played the press conference earlier today on 97.3 ESPN, Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on the Sports Bash. Mike will be back in for the full 4 hours tomorrow when we broadcast live from Tropicana Atlantic City for Boxing Insider Promotions. Fight night, Friday night, July 25th. We'll be leading you up to the fights over there at Tropicana AC. Me and Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN. But for now, we're focusing on the Eagles. And one of the things that Fangio talked about, as I addressed to Andrew, was Fangio said, look, there were techniques and training that we gave him in minicamp camp that now he is basically following up on is Campbell, and it's translating onto the field now in training camp. So it'll be interesting to see how quickly does he get fully cleared. I heard somebody say it was, oh my goodness, I forget who it was last. I was listening to a podcast and I wasn't fully awake, so forgive me. I can't remember who I was listening to. But a former player was basically saying that he was basically saying that, for a lot of guys, they can practice without the pads on, but as soon as there's contact, they might not be able to practice. So there is a possibility that if the Eagles had the pads on today, maybe Campbell is not on the field as much. Now, the Eagles will have a private walkthrough on Friday. So as of right now, it looks like they will not have pads on yet. So there will be more days going by until Campbell will see exactly how healthy that shoulder really is, right? We're going to find out how far along he really is when the pads come on. And then the other point that we talked about with Andrew DeCecco here at Football at 4, and it's something that is going to be a very interesting conversation as we move forward. Andrew talked about how during his draft evaluation process, Cooper DeJean, he projected to be a safety over a corner. But Cooper DeJean is so athletic, he can play pretty much every defensive back position. He can play outside. He can play inside. He can play safety. He can do whatever you need him to do. You see now at camp, he is getting reps at safety, along with Drew Makuba and Sidney Brown and Tristan McCollum. So you have to wonder, do the Eagles look at DeJean as a better safety or as a better corner? Now, Vic Fangio said that where DeJean plays depends on the other guys. So it sounds like Philadelphia basically, in terms of how they're practicing him versus what they're saying about him, they are indirectly telling you where you see Cooper DeJean play this year is completely dependent upon everybody else. So, for example, if Drew Makuba and Sidney Brown, if either one of them step up and show a high proficiency at safety, then DeJean is probably your starting nickel. But if Makuba and Brown have struggles and they have issues at safety, then you got to wonder, is DeJean the best option at safety? Which then puts into question, well, who's your nickel corner? Well, Mac McWilliams, he's getting reps at nickel corner. If Mac McWilliams shows he is a competent nickel corner, does that give the Eagles more comfort in putting DeJean at safety? Or, and I'm not saying it's going to happen, but is Tristan McCollum maybe the dark horse in all this? Is that a guy who gets a ton of reps and the team shows, hey, that's the guy we can rely on? Now, personally, I don't think that's going to happen. I think that the safety position, it's either going to be Makuba or Brown. Makuba got the first team reps next to Blankenship at safety today. Sidney Brown has been mixing in a lot. McCollum only got a handful of first team reps. So my working theory is I think the Eagles want either Brown or Makuba to steal the job so they can keep DeJean in the nickel corner. I don't think there is an aggressive expectation for Mac Williams to be the nickel corner moving forward. We will check in on the text board a little bit later this hour, 609-403-0973. Your DMs into 973 ESPN mobile app powered by First Bank of Seattle City. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill. Coming up on the other side, it's Nick Earnshaw for today's edition of Nick's Nuggets here on the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN.
This is the home of the Super Bowl champion, Philadelphia Eagles.
What a game. What a season. What a team. The greatest Eagles team in modern history.
97.3 ESPN, South Jersey's Eagles station.
The construction reduction sales event continues at Matt Black Kia. Right now, get $3,000 over book value for your trade with the purchase of any new Kia. Stuck in a loan or lease? Matt Black Kia wants to get you released no matter what you owe. Plus, for a limited time, put $0 down and get 1.9% financing for 60 months on every clearly marked Kia in stock. Have a job clearing $450 a week? Then Matt Black Kia wants to get you approved today. And with our 4-day love it or leave it return policy, you simply can't make a mistake at mattblackkia.com. It's got to be a Matt Black Kia. Call 215-703-8526 for details.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from Babbel. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at babbel.com/TNC.
How did Babbel become the award-winning language learning app? We thought of you. All of you. Take Sierra. As a visual learner, she uses Babbel's wordplay videos. Malcolm is a listening learner, so he checks with Babbel's speech recognition to be however you learn. Babbel makes it easy. Save up to 50% on your Babbel subscription when you text radio to 64,000. That's radio to 64,000.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Hey, that's the spirit. Right now, we're celebrating free with a free STP oil filter when you buy 5 quarts of oil and free Duralast brake pads when you buy 2 rotors. Like always, free battery testing, charging, and recycling at every store. Celebrate free at AutoZone, now through July 28th.
Get in the zone, AutoZone.
Restrictions apply.
Citizens, since we each upgraded to Xfinity in our homes, the Wi-Fi has been booming. It's fair to say our town has officially become a boomtown.
Mayor, will I be able to drop into multiplayer gaming battles with low lag?
The lag won't be an issue, but your questionable skills may be.
And what if I have hundreds of devices on the Wi-Fi? Purely hypothetical.
Seems like a lot, but sure, hundreds of devices all booming together with the Xfinity Gateway. Yes, friends and neighbors, with Xfinity, the Wi-Fi is booming.
The Wi-Fi isn't the only thing that's booming. Now get the most reliable Wi-Fi and our best-in-class equipment for one consistent price for 5 years guaranteed. All in. Plus, get unlimited data included and no annual contract. All with the 5-year price guarantee from Xfinity. Visit Xfinity.com, call 1-800-XFINITY, or visit a store today. Restrictions apply. Not available in all areas. New residential customers only. Select plans only. Xfinity Gateway with xFi Complete required for unlimited data except in certain areas. Most reliable Wi-Fi based on Open Signal Awards USA. Fixed Broadband Experience Report, August 2024. Actual speeds vary.
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. Try ZipRecruiter for free at ziprecruiter.com/free. That's ziprecruiter.com/free.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Progressive Insurance presents the Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN. Phillies heading to New York to start a 3-game series with the Yankees on Friday. Philadelphia losing to the Red Sox 9-8 in 11 innings Wednesday night. They still took 2 of 3 in the series. Phillies blew a 5-0 lead. They got home runs from Kyle Schwarber and Bryce Harper in the first inning. Now trail the Mets by a half a game in the NL East. Eagles continuing training camp at the NovaCare Center. Jalen Carter and Kenyon Green both remaining sidelined with injuries, but Cam Jurgens and Jahad Campbell have been limited but active in camp. The Eagles will open up their preseason schedule on August 7th against the Cincinnati Bengals. Legendary wrestler Hulk Hogan passed away early Thursday morning at the age of 71, found unresponsive in his home. He's a 6-time WWE champion, a Hall of Famer, and was the face of the sport in the 1980s as it launched into pop culture. Progressive Insurance, bundle auto and home, renters or condo, and save with Progressive. I'm Tony Desiri, and that's your Sports Flash on 97.3 ESPN.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Oh, the humidity. Big surge of moisture coming our way, plus even hotter air on a southwest breeze. Tomorrow's going to be a sweltering scorcher of a summer day. Noticeably muggier tonight with clear skies, low of 73, and then very hot and humid tomorrow. High 95, the heat index up to 106. Morning sun, afternoon clouds, maybe an evening thunderstorm. Saturday not as hot, sun and clouds, high 86. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Keeping the fans entertained and happy.
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN. Don't forget, tomorrow, Mike Gill and I will be over at Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City, leading you up to Boxing Insider's Friday night fights. Of course, you got Bruce Selden Jr. from Absegami High School. You got Julio Sanchez III from Pleasantville. You got rising boxing star from Philadelphia, Dayon Butt, as well as a WBC belt on the line, all tomorrow night. Now, if you haven't got your tickets yet, I'm giving away a couple pair from now until the end of the show. So if you have not got your tickets yet, I mean, you should have already got your tickets for tomorrow night, because these are action-packed fights. You don't want to miss these. These are not some bunch of guys hugging each other in the ring and not afraid to get hurt. These are action-packed guys who want to win fights. Text in at 609-403-0973. Your name, where you're from, and you got to contribute to the show. That's all I ask. Your name, where you're from, and contribute to the show. Phillies wild game last night. Eagles training camp. Also, the Hulkster passed away. A lot to get to today. And I am very curious to see what direction Nuggets goes in. The Nuggets couldn't hear it, but I was playing Hulk Hogan's American Made theme. We've been playing the Hulk Hogan music throughout the day, as Nick Earnshaw joins us now for Nick's Nuggets. And, of course, it's always brought to you by The Hub, gear that works as hard as you do. Nick Earnshaw back with us here on 97.3 ESPN. Nick, welcome in. I'm opening it for the people, Nick. All the topics are on the table. They just got to contribute to the conversation, and they can win tickets to tomorrow night's fights. What do you think?
I mean, you can't beat that. Just send in something great. Call me or Josh a moron or something if you disagree with us. All you got to do is contribute. That's all you got to do is contribute. You win a couple of tickets. Those Boxing Insider events are a lot of fun. I got to go with you and Billy Schweim to one, I believe, last year. So they're a good time. So text in. You got free chance to win free tickets. Who can't get better than that?
I can't get better. So, again, text in your name and where you're from, 609-403-0973. All right, Nuggets, the floor is yours. What do you got for us today?
I mean, I can't start anywhere else. Last night's game, just a game where you're just frustrated. Just a frustrating game. That inning last night, in the fifth inning, 6 runs. I mean, what happened to Jesus Luzardo in that inning? Just totally fell apart, having an entire meltdown in one inning. And now you go back to it. Yes, there was the opportunity for JT Realmuto, who lost the baseball, I guess, in the lights or something. That foul ball, lost it. So, and then after that, a couple of walks, and then the grand slam. Not great. Not a way. You're up 5-0. There's no reason the Phillies should have lost that game in the fifth inning, because once that fifth inning hit, you knew it was over. You knew it was over. Even if they went into extras, I understand. It was over after that point. That game, you could just tell. Sometimes there's omens. That inning was an omen that they were going to lose that game. And you look at Jesus Luzardo. This is somebody who started off so hot, really hot to start the year, and he was pitching lights out. He had that one game on May 3rd, I believe it was May 31st, gave up the 12 runs. They just left him in there, and then he had a bad start after that. I believe it was 8 runs after that. He just hasn't looked like the same exact guy. He's had some good starts here and there, but he hasn't looked as dominant as he was. And I tweeted out last night, Josh, an interesting stat. He's given up at least 4 earned runs in 3 out of 4 starts in the month of July. You go through April, he was giving up barely any runs, to say the least. His ERA was ridiculous. That 12-run game really screwed up his ERA for the rest of the year. But is he tipping pitches again? Because there was a video of Alex Cora really figuring out what he was about to pitch and kind of sending signals to his players like, hey, we know what's coming again. So you don't know if he's tipping pitches again. He's just struggled. He's had one bad inning, and last night was a microcosm of what his season has turned into.
So I pulled the setup for Mike Gill earlier today when he was sitting in with us here on 97.3 ESPN. By the way, Mike Gill, to all everybody texting, I am not taking over the second half of the Sports Bash. Mike Gill will be back for the full 4 hours tomorrow and all next week. So it's still the Sports Bash with Mike Gill. This is a temporary thing, okay? Everyone relax. Mike Gill's fine, all right? But I brought this out for Mike Gill earlier when he was on. The first 11 starts, Luzardo averaged 6 innings a start. In the last 10, he's averaging 4 2/3 innings. The first 11 games, he had a 2.15 ERA. Since the last 10 starts, he has an 8 ERA. So, and you and I were texting about this last night. And I told Mike Gill this earlier. I think the problem is Luzardo can't get through the lineup the third time. He just can't. And the fact that Caleb Cotham couldn't get off of his butt and walk out to the mound after the Raphael walk and be like, "Hey man, how you doing? Everything good? You tipping your pitches? What's for dinner tonight?" Like, say something to the guy to break up whatever is rattled in his head. Because it was obvious to me, at least, Nick, that he could have gotten out of the inning. There were 2 outs in the inning. He could have gotten out of it. After the walk, you could have gone out there. Can you imagine if Kaufman would have gone out there, gotten up off his butt, done the job of the pitching coach, and just talked to him? Maybe to get out of that inning, and we don't go to extra innings, and we don't lose the game. Maybe. But instead, this organization loves to leave Jose Luzardo out to dry. Maybe they hate him. I don't know what it is, but for whatever reason, they love to leave this guy out to dry and to fend for himself. And I hate it. I think it's pathetic, and I think the organization... Now, I know Dombrowski won't do this because he's too busy telling you how smart he is. But if I am the president of baseball operations, I'm going to the pitching coach today, all right? And I'm saying, Caleb, the pitching staff is your responsibility. Stop not going out to the mound. You got to go out there in situations. And Dave Dombrowski can pull the whole, "I've been around baseball for 40 years, and when I was younger, people went out to the mound and talked to the pitcher." Whatever speech you got to give. But to me, last night was in very much, Nick, at the fault of the pitching coach.
Yeah, I mean, listen, they had to do something, especially after the foul ball at JT. Nobody saw. Bryce didn't see it. Nobody saw it, clearly. And then you had the walks. It probably would have been a nice time to be like, "Hey, calm down. Let's get out of this. Let's not give up a grand slam right here," right? that is DEFCON 5. If we give up a grand slam, is it DEFCON 1? Which is the bigger? Whatever the bigger one is, DEFCON 1 or 5. 1. The grand slam just was the icing on the cake of that inning. You go through Luzardo's starts this month. Like I mentioned, he's given up at least 4 out of 3 out of 4 starts. 5 earned runs on July 4th, 2 innings pitched. July 9th had a very, very good start against San Francisco out in the Bay. No earned runs, 7 innings, very good, looked sharp, looked like himself. On July 18th, 4 2/3, 4 earned runs. And then the 23rd, 6 earned runs, 5 innings pitched last night. Do you have confidence in this guy in the postseason, right? Like, that is the question here. Like, you're going to have struggles throughout the year, I understand. But if this pitcher cannot get through the lineup 3 times, and you're going to have him pitch postseason games, that's going to be a decision that I certainly don't want to make, especially with how bad your bullpen has been. That's a decision I don't want to make because I'm worried about the postseason. Right now, it's fine. It's July. You can have a couple starts. Maybe he gets back on track. But if this is how it's going to be in the postseason, we saw the Phillies beat him. Remember, when Miami Marlins played the Philadelphia Phillies a couple years ago in the postseason, the Phillies beat up on Jesus Luzardo in the postseason. That was his only time he really pitched in the postseason. So it makes you wonder, are they going to trust him to be that 4th guy, or are they going to send him to the bullpen? Because I honestly think if he's fine the first, second time through the lineup, maybe he's the guy, the odd man out you send to the bullpen. It's just, you got to start thinking about this stuff now at this point. I know the deadline's next week, so you'll really have a good idea. But, man, he might be the odd man out if you can't trust him to get through the lineup 3 times.
Yeah, look, I think that it's obvious that Luzardo is going to be the guy in the bullpen at this point. You already got 2 left-handed starters. You'll need another one. And as long as Nola comes back and is competent, you know what I mean? I think that, for all we know, when Nola returns next month, he might go on a run. I mean, he might be so rested, he might be throwing 100 miles an hour in his first start. Like, that guy, you realize Nola's never had this much time off in about 8 years?
No.
This guy has been so healthy and pitched so many innings. I personally would assume that Nola is going to go be fine coming back. So my working assumption has been Wheeler 1, game 1, Sanchez game 2, Suarez game 3. If you need a game 4, barring anything crazy, it's probably going to end up being Aaron Nola. And by the way, I can tell you haven't watched enough 1980s action movies because you would have known the DEFCON 1 immediately.
I know.
You wouldn't have second guessed yourself like 3 times.
I know. I was like, is it DEFCON 5 or DEFCON 1? I'm a Gen Zer, man. What do you want me to do? Okay,
yeah, but see that don't pull that. Don't pull that shenanigans. Don't pull that shenanigans. You're an old soul at heart. Okay,
I am.
You're not one of these kids who listens to the trashy music today. Like the music that you like is the only like. You listen to everything. You watch everything. You watch Seinfeld. Like don't give me the Gen Zer stuff.
Certain cases I have to. I'm going to use the Gen Z card in certain cases. The DEFCON one, I couldn't remember which one it was. And by the way, I'm not a movie guy. I'm not the biggest movie guy. I've had to. Mike Gill and you have had to tell me, watch this movie. Okay, you just have to watch it. It's a classic. Watch it. So I've done my homework a few times. All right, I've done it a few times. And I don't know if this guy's done his homework. I'm not sure. So take this next nugget with a grain of salt, Josh Hennig. So, it's the rumor mill. We love the rumor mill during trade deadline season. And there was a big one that came out today that I just was stunned by. Andrew Filipponi, he is a radio host based in Pittsburgh, 93.7 The Fan. He came out with a report that the Phillies are one of the teams trying to trade for center fielder O'Neal Cruz. They are interested in what Cruz could do in the lineup with Harper, Schwarber, and Turner. This was a report from Andrew Filipponi in Pittsburgh, sports radio host there. Take it with a grain of salt, okay, at this point. But apparently the Phillies have inquired about him. Now, this is confusing in a lot of cases. First of all, O'Neal Cruz is 27 years old. He also is an individual who is left-handed, Josh. He's a lefty. So I don't know how it would work. He hasn't been great this year. He's batting .219. He's been okay at the dish. I've been, I don't know if that would fix your problems. Now, I know it's Pittsburgh, and you can make that argument, but he has been someone who hasn't been fantastic. He's an exciting player, to say the least, but he hasn't been all worldly, and I don't know if that's another player you'd want to add into your lineup. It's just confusing. I wouldn't give up a ton of prospects to go get O'Neal Cruz, to say the least.
So, a couple things here. One, I am going to completely throw this guy into the bus. I've never heard of him in my life before today. So I have no idea if this is a reputable individual as a reporter or not. Number one. Number two, my working assumption is that the Pirates are trading Cruz is because they're tired of him. That they're tired of trying to find a position for this guy. Remember, he was a shortstop, and they moved into the outfield.
Yep.
He hasn't done so well in center field. So my working assumption is that the organization is basically saying, you know what, we've tried to make it work. We should probably move on. The problem with O'Neal Cruz, Nick, is the Pirates, what do they need? Not pitching. The Pirates have so many pitching prospects that they're trying to trade Keller, one of their better pitchers. They have so many prospects. So to me, I don't think the Phillies are a good match with the Pirates unless, as I told Mike Gill earlier today on the Sports Bash, here on 97.3 ESPN, Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill for the second half of the show. unless there's a scenario where you're getting O'Neal Cruz and Bednard for a prospect or two. Because if you're telling me I got to trade, I'm just using that as an example. The Pirates really want Eduardo Taiit, right? They really want him. I don't know if I made that trade up just straight up. I can't do that. I can't give up one of my top prospects for a guy batting, what is he, batting 220?
219.
Right,
his on base is 319. He's slugging 419.
I mean, yeah, he's got 16 home runs. He leads the National League in stolen bases. So there's talent there. But I'm not giving up a top prospect for him alone. Now, if you told me that the Pirates were like, well, we want Arun Escobar, we also want Alex McFarland, just using as an example, and we'll give you Bednard and O'Neal Cruz, then I'm having a conversation. But Cruz by himself, I don't really have any interest in.
Yeah, I think if you're getting one of those relievers in a package with Cruz and you're not giving up a ton, you're not overpaying, I'm cool with it. I'm okay. You can move Marsh to left, I guess. You could put Cruz out there in center field. Maybe he's better here. I know it's Pittsburgh. It's like it's a morgue over there, honestly. Like you don't win games over there a lot. So I understand why it might not be as fun to play there. It might be a little bit more fun here. Maybe you can get it out of him because I mean he's had good seasons before, right? Like he batted nearly 260 last year at a 324 OBP, but his numbers are down this year. So the talent's there. We've seen it. I don't love it, but if they could get both a reliever in Bednar and him and not have to go up a ton of prospect capital, I think that's a solid deal that you make if you're Dave Dombrowski. I don't hate it. Do I love it? No. But do I hate it? I don't think I would hate it because you're getting a center fielder. You're getting a bat with a lot of potential, a guy who's pretty young at this point, and you're also getting another reliever. And I don't think you'd have to give up a Painter or a Miller to get one of those guys. I don't think you would have to.
No, probably not even Crawford either, honestly.
Yeah.
I mean, frankly, if there was a scenario, actually, you know what I would do? The trade I would make, not saying this would happen. Again, this is all speculation, folks. Disclaimer, this is not actually happening. This is just a speculated, rumor-milled conversation. Report. But what I would do is I would call the Pirates because the Pirates, Cruz is under control for 3 more years.
Yep.
So what I would do is I would personally trade Eduardo Taiit. I would let them pick some other prospect who's not maybe a pitcher, not pitcher, whatever.
McAble? Would you put McAble in the deal?
No, not McAble. Not Miller, not Abel, not Crawford. But anybody else. You want anybody else? You want Taiit? You want Escobar? Whatever. But I would also put a third man. Not the third man of the NWO. The third man, Brandon Marsh, is under team control for 2 more years. And then I would put Cruz in left field and let Rojas be my starting center fielder. Correct. Because Rojas is good enough defensively to cover up for some of Cruz's deficiencies.
Yeah, I listen. Me, you, and Mike have talked about Rojas getting reps in center field every day, right? Like we think that is what would unlock Rojas's potential if he's getting every day at bats, he's playing every day, etc. That would be ideal. I don't know how. I don't know how real this report is. I don't know. They've inquired about it. It's fascinating. There's a lot of backdrop here, right? Like there's a lot of background here where what are you going to do with Marsh? Is Rojas going to play every day? Are you going to include Marsh in the trade? With your scenario, you're moving Marsh to Pittsburgh. I understand, but they've moved O'Neal Cruz everywhere. Shortstop, center field. They're going to move him to left. Can he play a corner outfield position? Fine, sure. I prefer to see him in center. Maybe you trade Rojas and let Marsh play in left. That's another scenario that you can go with.
All right, before we get out of here, final nugget, go.
All right, my final nugget. Jordan Davis lost 26 pounds. He looks fantastic at training camp today. Josh Hennig. He looks great, but he talked today during his media availability about being added into the pass rush, right? Like being a contributor during the pass rush. He lost a lot of weight. Do we think he can take that step we've been kind of waiting for. He's been pretty good in run stuffing, but adding that pass rush element to him, Josh, that would be massive. He looked good. Hopefully he could take that next step, because remember, he was a first-round pick. You want him to be able to take it. He's under control for next year in 26 with that option that was picked up. So you have him for 2 more years at this point, Josh. He looked great. Can he add that pass rush element? That's what I'm wondering. 26 pounds he lost this offseason at 330 now. That's how much he weighs.
So a couple of things. One, I pointed this out to Mike Gill, and then Vic Fangio followed me up today by saying that, he started losing the weight last year, actually. He's actually lost more than 26 pounds. And he did it by riding the Peloton. He started riding Peloton last year, and he's in love with the Peloton. And Jordan Davis said during minicamp a few months ago that he got tired of his face being fat. So, to me, the reason why, Nick, he could be part of the pass rush is because he wants to. The want-to is everything in life. It's not good enough to be talented. It's not good enough to just walk in the door. You got to want to be there. You got to show that you want to be a part of being a successful player. I think that Jordan Davis losing this weight shows that he wants to. Whatever you want from him, Nick. He wants it. You want it. Then it can happen.
Yep, I think he wants it. I hope he takes that next step. I hope he contributes on the pass rush. More of a contributor, I should say, and is effective in the middle. Josh, those are the nuggets, the last nuggets of the week this week. Tomorrow's my day that you've been asking about.
Yep. Today, it's your birthday is this weekend. Happy birthday to Nick Earnshaw.
Thank you, man.
We appreciate you, everything you do here at 97.3 ESPN. So enjoy your birthday tomorrow and this weekend. I can confirm reports that tomorrow the person filling in for Nuggets will be PG.
Look at that. PG doing a nugget pack. I might have to try and tune in, at least to the replay or something. Maybe I'll get it live. But I'll be at Yankee Stadium. Phil's Yanks. I'll be up there. Can't wait.
Well, you can always watch the replay on the Mike Gill Show on YouTube or on X or on 97.3 on X tomorrow, when me and Mike will be broadcasting live from Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City. Nick, great stuff today. Talk soon.
Peace.
Josh Hennig back here on 97.3 ESPN. I see your text coming in at 609-403-0973. All you got to do is text in your name, where you're from, contribute to the show, and you have a chance to win tickets for Friday night boxing inside our promotion Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City. I'll get to all your texts and more coming up on the other side. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill on the back end of the show here on 97.3 ESPN.
ZipRecruiter is the place. ZipRecruiter is the place for talented teachers, savvy software developers, and master mixologists. ZipRecruiter is the place where you meet all these people and more. That's because ZipRecruiter is the place for job seekers who are looking for new opportunities. In fact, ZipRecruiter helps 10 million people with their job search every day, so you can find the right candidates right away. It's no wonder that ZipRecruiter is the place for skilled skydiving instructors, accomplished airbrush artists, and proficient pediatricians. But if you're not using ZipRecruiter to hire, you're missing out. ZipRecruiter is the place that's so confident it can make your hiring easier that it lets you try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. So if you want the right candidates for all your roles, ZipRecruiter is the place to go. Try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. Never miss out on great candidates with ZipRecruiter.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done. By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from IQ Bar. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at eatiqbar.com/policy/terms of service.
I've got good news and bad news. Here's the bad news. Most protein bars are packed with sugar and unpronounceable ingredients. The good news? There's a better option. I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar plant protein bars to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. IQ bars are packed with 12 grams of protein, brain nutrients like magnesium and lion's mane, and zero weird stuff. And right now, you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping. Try our delicious IQ Bar sampler pack with 7 plant protein bars, 4 hydration mixes, and 4 enhanced coffee sticks. Clean ingredients, amazing taste, and you'll love how you feel. Refuel smarter, hydrate harder, caffeinate larger with IQ Bar.
Now you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping when you text IQ Bar to 64,000. Text IQ Bar to 64,000 to get your 20% off. That's IQ Bar to 64,000.
Home of the Philadelphia Eagles.
They got him again!
Sixers.
Bang! It's good! Ball game!
And Flyers.
Tipped in front of the net!
97.3 ESPN. WENJ. WENJ HD. Millville, Atlantic City. A Town Square media station serving all of South Jersey.
5 o'clock hour of the Sports Bash. Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN. 5 o'clock hour being brought to you by White Horse RV Centers in Williamstown and Galloway. The summer clearance event is on now at White Horse RV. White Horse RV, your RV adventure starts here at White Horse RV in Williamstown and Galloway. It actually is incredible on a day like today where we would typically be just spending 24/7 on the Phillies loss and the Eagles at training camp. That a day like today, the headline of every sports show, podcast, stream, television, radio, everywhere is about the passing of the man known as Hulk Hogan, the American icon. So I felt compelled to play some Hulk Hogan music throughout the day because the man was an icon. Whether you agree or disagree with his personal politics, his real name was Terry. The man really paved the way for a lot of what you see today. You know, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, John Cena, they're not in movies and TV shows if it wasn't for Hulk Hogan paving the way. You would have athletes maximizing name, image, and likeness if the Hulkster didn't break that glass ceiling when it came to maximizing athletes and celebrities, their money-making value. You know, for those who don't know, one of the reasons why Hogan left WWF back in the day was because he was demanding that he make a certain percentage of profit off of his merchandise sales. And the WWF basically didn't want to do that. And this wasn't something that happened just when he went to WCW. Hogan actually left WWF one time because they didn't want him to be in the Rocky III movie. Then they brought him back because they realized, oh man, Hulkamania kind of launched because of that. So then they brought him back and took it to the next level. And then he wouldn't be in WrestleMania at one point without Mr. T. He brought the celebrities into pro wrestling. He was the reason why Vince McMahon could take what was, not mainstream pro wrestling and turned it into sports entertainment. And then, of course, he went to WCW after his incredible run in WWF, and he had the greatest heel turn of all time, becoming the villain WCW with the NWO. So, today is a day where I think it's important to remember that so much of the sports that you love and see today in terms of merchandise sales and the athletes and, everything that goes with the financial and the money making and the business side of sports entertainment, it's because of Terry, also known as Hulk Hogan, Hollywood Hogan, whatever era of him that you remember most. The man's an icon. The man was a trailblazer, and he was really one of the first people to say, no, I deserve to get paid XYZ. Like Dan and Absekin chimes in at 609-403-0970. He says, rest in peace, Hulk Hogan. I grew up with the action figures and the ring you could play in. He says, and please, can someone see if Dave Dombrowski, that everyone talks about, can make a big trade? Because we need a right-handed bat, please. It's a great transition there from Dan Absekin. Talking about Hulk Hogan and then back to Dombrowski. It's a good job by you, Dan Absekin. So, yeah, Hulk Hogan, for those who don't know the full news, he had a major cardiac event this morning, and he passed away at the age of 71. So, an American icon, gone, full life. And like I said, no matter what your personal opinion of him was, the reality is that he had a major impact on the world and society that people don't really realize. So good job by Danny Absekin. Yeah, the Dombrowski thing, it's interesting because last night was a night where the flaws of this team did not really. The Phillies' lack of right-handed bat and the Phillies' bullpen issues were not the reasons why they lost the game last night. They lost the game last night because Luzardo can't get through a lineup 3 times, and Caleb Cotham doesn't want to come out of the dugout because he's I don't know, is he lazy? Is he for whatever reason, this Phillies organization loves to leave Jose Luzardo out to dry. They love to do it. I don't know why, but I feel bad for the guy. And the fact that Rob Thompson couldn't turn. Now, I say this a little in jest. I say this in a bit of jest. The fact that Rob Thompson couldn't turn to his pitching coach and ask him, you want to go talk to our pitcher here, or are you just going to keep sitting there, chewing on sunflower seeds? Like, I don't understand. And this is where the disconnect happens for us fans. Josh Hennig filling for Mike Gill. Second half of the Sports Bash here on 97.3 ESPN. Mike will be back in for the full 4 hours tomorrow when we broadcast live from Tropicana in Atlantic City. Myself and Mike Gill on location, leading you up to the big Friday night fights brought to you by Boxing Insider Promotions with 3 New Jersey fighters, 2 Philadelphia Rising Star boxers, and the WBC silver belt on the line tomorrow night. And, of course, you can win tickets if you text in your name, where you're from, and join the conversation at 609-403-0973. But last night is a perfect example of why I always say I try to understand why people do what they do. I try to be an information sponge, okay? I know that we joke that I'm the sports geek, but part of the reason why I'm the sports geek is because I genuinely do try to say, I try to be the guy who says, okay, let me understand, let me process, let me absorb the maybe behind the decision making. Like last night, the Phillies didn't lose the game because Seth Johnson came in the game. They lost the game way earlier than that, in my opinion. They lost the game because of a decision that was made that frankly made no sense to me. And that decision being, why did you leave Jose Luzardo out there to walk not 1, not 2, but 3 different guys? Why didn't you go out there to check on him? Why didn't somebody go out there and be like, you doing okay? You all right? You ready to finish this job? You focused? Something. And this is where the disconnect is for us fans with what happens during a sporting event. When us, the fan, watching the Phillies game, you and me, I'm a fan too, and we're sitting there watching the TV, and I was literally standing up with my hands on my head last night, looking at the TV, just completely perplexed about what was going on. Completely confused. And I'm looking around, I'm like, what am I watching? What is going on? And you see the national TV, the cameras pan over, because it was on ESPN last night. They pan over to the Red Sox dugout, and you see the Red Sox hitters talking to each other, pointing at Luzardo, and you can tell they're basically sharing information about how to get this guy. That nobody decided to go out. Like, if you or I were the manager, you and I were the pitching coach, we would have gone out and said, hey, Jesus, everything okay out here? You just walked your second guy, just walked your third guy of the inning. But no, they leave him out there to dry. They leave him out there to just get taken advantage of. There's a lot of times in a baseball game where I can sit there and be like, all right, I get what's going on here. I understand. But last night wasn't one of them. And I think last night is a perfect example of why, to Dan and Avseek's point, guess what? What happened last night, I can't blame Dombrowski for that one. For as much as I've ripped Dombrowski, last night wasn't one of them. Now, I agree with you, Dan Absekin. They need a right-handed bat. Because the Kepler experiment is a failure. And you can only hope the great and mighty Oz, Dave Dombrowski, will at some point have an honest conversation with at least himself, because he can't have it with anybody else, because apparently he doesn't talk to anybody else. He wants to let you know how wise and smart and experienced he is. Hopefully at some point he can admit that the Max Kepler situation was a mistake and that, we need something else out there. William K. May Courthouse says, yo, what's up, fellas? Never been to a live boxing match. Might have to close up a truck early tomorrow and go. That's from Willie and K. May Courthouse. Yeah, it's Matt's Taste of Love food truck out there. You see him all over South Jersey. Willie's a great guy. Well, Willie, we might have to hook you up. I'll get back to everybody at the end of the show. I can't host and produce and pick, people for prizes all at the same time, and do everything else I'm doing. The man can only do so much by himself. Scott in Atlantic City says, I'm so glad football is back. Well, we're all glad football's back, Scott. Appreciate you listening to 97.3 ESPN. Yeah, a training camp today. For those who didn't hear, we'll play some of the bites from Vic Fangio a little bit earlier. Fangio talked about, I am very curious about the DeJean getting safety reps, because pretty much everyone got first-team safety reps today. Everyone. DeJean, Makuba, Tristan McCollum got reps with the first team. Sidney Brown. We're going to find out by the end of August who really picks up this Fangio scheme. Because remember, what happened last year? Sidney Brown, he wasn't really practicing until October last year. So you got really no hands-on work in that defense. DeJean got injured in training camp. Didn't get onto the field again until week 5. So that's two guys right there who didn't get experience last year. Now you got Drew Makuba. He's another guy who, he's a rookie. Never played in this defense. The only guy right now who has real experience at safety is Tristan McCollum. And I'm curious to see, is McCollum in a position to maybe steal some playing time from somebody else? Which leads me to Paul from Millville at 609-403-0973. Paul from Millville says, I love that DeJean is getting time at safety. All of this Justin Simmons talk is nonsense. If the Eagles wanted him, they would have signed him last year. Simmons is the Eagles' equivalent to Luis Robert Jr. All the fans talk about him, but the organization is showing you they don't want him. That's from Paul in Millville. That is a strong analogy, Paul Millville. Paul Millville, I might have to get you some tickets for the boxing just for the best analogy of the day, because you're 100% right. The obsession with Luis Robert Jr., a guy who really is not that good, a guy who has been injured almost every year of his career. He had one healthy year and made an all-star game. Since then, he has regressed statistically. I don't care what his numbers are against left-handed pitching. I don't care how talented he is, how nice of a guy he is. I don't care, okay? The guy can find a cure for cancer, all right? I don't want him on my baseball team. And you're right about Simmons. If Simmons was so good, if Simmons was the answer at safety, they would have signed him already. Vic Fangio is not running on Howie Roseman's door, and he ain't knocking on that door demanding Justin Simmons. Because if you go back and watch the Eagles' own draft vlog, I have only seen Vic Fangio smile twice in my entire life since being here. Once was when they won the championship and they got that trophy. And the other one was when they drafted Drew Makuba. The smile on his face of just pure, you got my guy on his face. That should tell you, as Paul in Millville says, the Eagles don't want Simmons for whatever reason. Now, look, I will say this. I think Simmons is a break glass case of emergency, okay? If Reed Blankenship God forbid, gets injured, where's the wood around here? There's the wood. If he gets injured, they might call Simmons and be like, yeah, man, we need you. I think he's a break glass case of emergency. Luis Robert Jr., I have zero interest in. I have zero desire to bring that guy in here for any reason. Now, if you told me I could get Luis Robert Jr. by trading Max Kepler for him, then yes, I make that deal. But that's the only scenario where I'm having this conversation. Because the malcontent waste of $10 million, Max Kepler, is worth giving up for a guy who is not going to come in here and complain about how I was promised things and people didn't give me what I wanted. I'm going to cry to the media about it because I'm a... All right, I'm going to stop there because I want to get in trouble with the FCC. 609-403-0973. Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill. All right, Steven Venner chimes in. Steve, notorious for texting about 2 million things, so I'm going to try to kind of encapsulate what you said, Steve. Steve says that Dory Jackson is a good veteran to bring in to push Keely Ringo. I still think the Eagles are going to add either someone who can play linebacker or defensive end for the season. I'm personally excited to see what Jordan Davis, Jalen Carter, Nolan Smith, and Moro Ojomo will all do together along with Azeez Ojulari. I'm with you, Steve, on that. I think that there is something to be excited about. That you have all these young players who are incredibly talented, who all like to be coached hard. Remember, the Miami Dolphins didn't like Fangio's style of coaching. And now you see the Miami Dolphins are a bad year away from getting their head coach fired. And they're one more Tyreek Hill incident away from their offense being completely useless. Because, let's be frank, if Jalen Waddle is double teamed, if they don't have Tyreek Hill out there, who's Tua throwing to? You can't even name who the Dolphins' second, third, and fourth receivers are if the top two are not Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle. They are so hyper-dependent on that duo working out. And don't tell me they acquired Darren Waller, because that guy didn't play football for a year plus because he was heartbroken after cheating on his own wife. They had to write a song about it. Okay? The Dolphins, they are one bad year away from him just blowing up that whole team. But they're the ones who didn't like Vic Fangio's tough coaching. You know who likes the tough coaching? Zach Bond, Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Nolan Smith, Cooper DeJean. They like this guy. Jihad Campbell loves the hands-on work he's getting from Vic Fangio. So it's not just you're excited about the talent, Steven Vendor. You're excited that you have players who want to be coached hard, like to be coached hard, and are succeeding because of it. Steven Vendor goes on to say, it would be shocking, but Luzardo might not only be the bullpen guy, he could also be a trade chip. Now, that's an interesting question. Would the Phillies consider trading Luzardo? Remember, he's under team control for one more year, so he's under contract next year. Could Luzardo be an appealing guy for a team that desperately needs pitching help? There are a lot of teams that need pitching help right now. For example, a team like the Cleveland Guardians. If you call them and you want Stephen Kwan, let's say, is Luzardo in that package? You know, we had the conversation with Nick Earnshaw last hour with Mike Gill in the 2 o'clock hour here on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN. We talked about O'Neal Cruz. Now, I don't think the Pirates need pitching, but he's a veteran. And he might be able to be a guy who walks in there and maybe mentors those guys. I mean, that entire pitching staff, aside from Bednard and Santana, are a bunch of young kids. If you call the Twins about Griffin Jacks and Johan Duran, they need starting pitching. They don't need bullpen pitching in Minnesota. Is Luzardo a guy to have a conversation about? It's a very fair question by Steve in Ventnor. Steve Ventnor also goes on to say, Cruz has elite slug and bat speed, exit velocity. Let Kevin Long teach him how to lay off bad pitches. I have always said that when it comes to like a Jared Duran in Boston and O'Neal Cruz in Pittsburgh, sometimes these guys, as they get older, they just haven't had adequate veterans or coaching around them. It just may be possible that a change of scenery may be what is needed for some of these guys. It very well is possible. Let's squeeze in UPS Jeff chiming in at 609-403-0973 for the break. Jeff from Galloway says, trade Kepler to Pittsburgh. Maybe Cruz has too much pressure on him and it's affecting him. I give it a shot. Well, they're not going to take Kepler. I hate to disappoint you, Jeff from Galloway. But I do think that, look, here's what's going to happen. And Mike Gill has said this as well, so I'm not breaking news. I'm not putting any sensational headlines out there. Kepler's going to get DFA'd after the deadline. They're going to trade for somebody. Cruz, Quan, whoever. Cedric Mullins, Jared Duran, whoever it may be. They're going to acquire somebody who's better than Max Kepler. And they're going to DFA him to the Uber and send him out of town, okay? No one wants Kepler. No one's going to trade for him. Now, Cruz, what's that going to take? An Arun Escobar, an Eduardo Tayit, some minor league prospect who the Phillies know they can do without, who the Pirates would want. That's what it's going to take. All right, keep the text coming in. 609-403-0973. Your DMs at 973 ESPN. Mobile app powered by First Bank of Sea City. Josh Hennig hanging out with you, filling in for Mike Gill. Don't forget, we will be at Tropicana Showroom in Atlantic City tomorrow, 2 to 6 p.m., broadcasting live as we lead you up to Boxing Insiders Friday night fights with 3 New Jersey boxers, 2 Philadelphia Rising Stars, and the WBC Silver Belt on the line. All that tomorrow night. And we will be giving out some tickets. Just keep texting in your name, where you're from. Join the conversation, 609-403-0973. If you don't win tickets, remember Ticketmaster.com. There are still some tickets available. You do not want to miss out. They had a record attendance back in March for these boxing events. They get better every single time. These are not a bunch of grown men hugging each other. These are real fights happening under the lights in Atlantic City. Friday night, tomorrow night, and Mike Gill in the Sports Bash. We'll be broadcasting live from 2 to 6 right here on 97.3 ESPN. Back with more of your texts, and we'll look back at what Vic Fangio said coming up next on 97.3 ESPN.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
When I'm driving, I got a guy on the radio who talks to me. I can't see him, but he talks to me.
On 97.3 ESPN.
With GMF financing to qualified buyers excludes Traverse and Corvette excludes prior sales.
Bennett Chevrolet is celebrating July with the largest savings you'll find anywhere. That's right, nobody beats a Bennett Chevy deal. At Bennett Chevy, you'll save up to 20% on new Chevys because Bennett's selling new vehicles at GM supplier employee prices. Plus, you keep all the rebates, saving you as much as 20% off the sticker. And Bennett's got available 0% financing, saving you even more. Nobody beats a Bennett deal, and I mean nobody. When it comes to pre-owned, nobody comes close to Bennett, giving you a minimum $10,000 for your trade. Yes, any trade you bring, you'll get a minimum $10,000 towards any pre-owned in stock, whether yours runs or not. Plus, at Bennett Chevy, you get more than the best deal. You'll be served by Bennett's non-commissioned sales team, paid on your satisfaction, not how much you spend. So there's never any need to negotiate, never any haggles or hassles. Together, let's drive. Bennett Chevy, Egg Harbor Township, and BennettChevy.com.
Kohl's friends and family, listen up, because this one's for you. Right now, you can take an extra 20% off during the Friends and Family sale. Save on summer must-haves for your home, comfy everyday outfits for your family, smart favorites for back to school, and so much more. Yep, it's your time to save. Shop Kohl's Friends and Family sale today. Select styles. Offer ends July 27th. Some exclusions apply. See store or Kohls.com for details.
By texting 64,000, you agree to receive recurring automated marketing messages from IQ Bar. Message and data rates may apply. No purchase required. Terms apply. Available at eatiqbar.com/policy/terms of service.
I've got good news and bad news. Here's the bad news. Most protein bars are packed with sugar and unpronounceable ingredients. The good news? There's a better option. I'm Will, and I created IQ Bar plant protein bars to empower doers like you with clean, delicious, low-sugar brain and body fuel. IQ bars are packed with 12 grams of protein, brain nutrients like magnesium and lion's mane, and zero weird stuff. And right now, you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping. Try our delicious IQ Bar sampler pack with 7 plant protein bars, 4 hydration mixes, and 4 enhanced coffee sticks. Clean ingredients, amazing taste, and you'll love how you feel. Refuel smarter, hydrate harder, caffeinate larger with IQ Bar.
Now you can get 20% off all IQ Bar products, plus free shipping when you text IQ Bar to 64,000. Text IQ Bar to 64,000 to get your 20% off. That's IQ Bar to 64,000.
If you need to hire, it seems like the whole process can be exhausting. You search resumes, wait for the right candidates to apply, set up initial interviews. It's a lot of time and work. Well, what if you could meet with qualified candidates for your job the very next day? Now you can with Zip Intro from ZipRecruiter. And right now, you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Zip Intro is super easy to use. You simply pick a time, and it does all the work of finding and scheduling qualified candidates for you. Then you can choose who you want to talk to and meet with great people on back-to-back video calls as soon as the next day. Best of all, you save time and energy.
Try Zip Intro for free right now at this exclusive web address, ZipRecruiter.com/radio. Zip Intro. Post jobs today, talk to qualified candidates tomorrow. Once again, go to ZipRecruiter.com/radio to try it for free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/radio.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive could save hundreds. With that kind of money, you could go big time and skip the regular line at the airport and pay for speedy security. Imagine not having to quickly unpack and pack at the place you already came packed to. And wearing your shoes the whole time you're there? You can't put a price on that kind of luxury. Well, actually you can, and you paid for it. Switch to Progressive and you could save big time for speedy security. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates, not available in all states. Potential savings will vary.
This is an important safety message from the New Jersey Division of Highway Traffic Safety.
I'm Colonel Callahan of the New Jersey State Police. When you see an emergency vehicle or motorist stop by the side of the road, do the right thing. Move over one lane, and if you can't, slow down. It's the law, so do your part to keep everyone safe.
You're listening to the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Never thought this radio stunt would catch on so big.
On 97.3 ESPN.
Josh Hennig filling in for Mike Gill here on 97.3 ESPN. 5 o'clock hour of the Sports Bash being brought to you by Whitehorse RV Center in Williamstown and Galloway. The summer clearance event is on now at Whitehorse RV Center. Whitehorse RV, your RV adventure starts here at Whitehorse RV in Williamstown and Galloway. Been playing the different, you don't realize that Hulk Hogan had so many different songs over the years because obviously, the main American song is what he's known for from WWF and later WWE. But then they had to change the song when he went to WCW. And then he had 2 separate songs. He had the NWO song, and then he had the separate Hollywood Hogan song. So actually, Hulk Hogan's got about 5 entrance songs over the years. So I've been trying to mix it up throughout the show here on 97.3 ESPN. Again, the American icon Hulk Hogan passes away. Terry, his real name, passes away at age 71. Been getting texts throughout the day about it at 609-403-0973. Trying to find the one text that I didn't read. Here it is. Person didn't leave their name. Can't give you credit unless you leave your name. But he says, rest in peace to the Hulkster. WrestleMania body slammed Andre the Giant. What a moment. It ushered out Andre's reign in the beginning of an amazing run in pro wrestling. Hulk Hogan was a guy who his greatest skill was actually not his wrestling. His greatest skill was he was arguably one of the 5 greatest promo cutters of all time. And he was so great at connecting with audiences that he laid the groundwork. Like I've always said, I said it earlier, The Rock, John Cena, those guys in some ways saw what Hogan did, what the Hulkster did, and they took it to another level. Because the Hulkster was not the in-ring technician that a Ric Flair was. He wasn't the intimidating. You mentioned Andre the Giant, but Diesel later, Kevin Nash. Like there were guys who were bigger than the Hulkster. But he was such a unique character. He was such a unique figure. And he leaned so heavily into Americana in an era where, listen, Vince McMahon in WWF, later became WWE, really leaned into the idea of sports entertainment. And Hulk Hogan was the centerpiece of that. And so much of what we know in today in American pop culture, that's why I call him a pop culture icon, not a wrestling icon, because Hulk Hogan became synonymous with pop culture. And there are people who literally became wrestling fans because of him. So, I definitely want to, recognize that and acknowledge that. So I appreciate all the texts coming in throughout the day, remembering Hulk Hogan. Great memories from everybody throughout the day. Keep them coming in. 609-403-0973. Jeff from Ocean City chimes in. I just clocked out for a 4-day weekend. Happy Hour Friday is starting on Thursday for me. He follows us. Wait a minute, Josh, you mean you can't do it all? The guys in the locker room says you are the do-it-all. Well, I am the do-it-all. It's just when you're doing it all by yourself, it takes longer. This is the best way I could put it. Matthew in Mays Landing chimes in at 609-403-0973. He says, rest in peace to Hogan. I'm 42, been watching pro wrestling since I was 3. There was no bigger wrestler growing up. I saw all the movies he was in. Well, I felt bad for you because some of those movies were not very good. Oh my goodness. What was the one he was in? Well, you mentioned Suburban Commander. Well, most people know him from Rocky 3, right? But I'm trying to remember. There was a movie he came out with in the mid-90s. Oh, I got to look it up now. Because there was a movie, and it was like one of those movies that, like, as soon as you saw the title, you know it was probably not going to be a good movie. I got to look it up now. Give me 1 sec, folks. Because as soon as I'm going to see the title, I'm going to remember it. Because there was one movie he came out with in the mid-90s, and he actually stopped wrestling in WCW for a hot minute. He took a break to film this movie. And I just remember it was like on one of those like streaming platforms one time. I remember thinking, wow, this is not a good movie. Let's see here. Santa with Muscles. That's what it was. Yeah. When you saw the title Santa with Muscles, you had the feeling that was not going to be a good movie. But Hulk Hogan literally took a timeout. He took a timeout for like 8-10 months from wrestling or whatever it was to film this movie. Santa with Muscles. And yeah, you don't even need to know the movie. You don't need to have seen it. Hulk Hogan at the time was the biggest name in the movie. Now, I will say, there was somebody in the movie who go on to have an amazing, not amazing, but a very good acting career. I don't want to embellish. There was someone in the movie. They were very young at the time. Let me double check. It was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It was their 7th credit ever as an actor. I'll just say actress. It was an actress. And in the movie, she would have been how old? She was 13. No, she was 12 in this movie. All right. I wonder if anybody without... First of all, has anybody seen the bad Santa with Muscles, number 1? Number 2, if you tell me who the actress is, I'll be impressed. I don't know if anybody actually could tell me without looking it up, but I only remembered it because I'm reading the book right now, Say Hello to the Bad Guys. I'm going to have the author, Mark Ramondi, on coming up on Hanging with Hennig on August 2nd on 97.3 ESPN, leading up to SummerSlam that night. He wrote the book, Mark Ramondi, about, basically Hulk Hogan's journey from WWF to basically changing the culture not once but twice in WCW. And that's the only reason why I remember who was in this movie. And no, it doesn't hurt your chances for the tickets on Friday night. Speaking of the tickets, you mentioned Yankees. Matt in Mays Landing. Matthew. Is it Matt or Matthew? Matt or Matthew? Whatever it is. I will, speaking of the Phillies and Yankees, I will be at yesterday's Creekside Tavern in Marmora this Saturday for our Phillies versus Yankees watch party. So no, I will not hold it against you. But I appreciate you, Matthew in Mays Landing, chiming in at 609-403-0973. Couple more texts to get in here. Hulk on the A-Team show was amazing, Joe and Kate May. Yeah, well, the Hulk and Mr. T were very good friends. So, Hulk making some of those, cameo appearances, that was totally like on brand for him. But he also, the A-Team for a time was like one of the most popular shows on television. So, personally, my favorite character on the show was Hannibal, the leader of the team. I always love when a plan comes together. That was my favorite guy on that show. Good pull there from Joe and Kate May. Jeff from Summers Point. He says the only movie that's worse than Santa with Muscles was Mr. Nanny. That was a bad one. That was one of those where they really tried a little too hard with the Hulkster. Yeah. It's a good pull there from Jeff in Summers Point. Tom from Ventnor chimes in, trying to ruin everything for everybody as we're trying to have some fun conversation here. But he says, anyone saying trading for Cedric Mullins or McCutcheon at the deadline is on the nostalgia tour. Or maybe they're on a prank show. Mullins is batting like he's allergic to first base, and Kutch's best asset is his Spotify playlist. Let's aim for October, not 2017. Well, Tom from Ventnor, first of all, when I brought up McCutcheon the other day, it was purely in anyone is better than Max Kepler. Apparently, Tom in Ventnor is the only person who doesn't understand that almost anyone in baseball is better than Max Kepler. But the Phillies decided to waste $10 million on him. Cedric Mullins is a guy who's been rumored by a lot of people who are much smarter than you and me, Tom in Ventnor. Baseball insiders. Now, if they acquired Cedric Mullins and you wanted to tell me, why did Dave Dombrowski acquire him? This is a joke. This is a nostalgia tour, blah, blah, blah. That's fine. But Tom in Ventnor, you keep bringing this up when the conversation has gone elsewhere. It just goes to show you that you don't get the point. Remember Dan Lebitard says, you don't get the show? Tom in Ventnor doesn't get the show. Jeff from Summers Point gets it. Jeff in Ocean City gets it. Matthew, the Yankees fan in Mays Landing, gets it. Who else have we had text in today? Willie in Cape May Courthouse, he gets it. Joe in Cape May gets the show. Steve in Ventnor, he gets the show despite his 20 million texts. Jeff in Galloway gets the show. Paul in Millville gets the show. Scott in Atlantic City gets the show. Dan in Absecon gets the show. Richie in Little Egg Harbor gets the show. Big Al in Vineland gets the show. NWO for life. Good job, Al in Vineland. Look at Al in Vineland just pulling out the NWO for life, period. Love it. 609-403-970. Now, I will say, James in Delaware, resend your text. Oh, okay. Sorry. So it came up and broke apart. It says, have you tried Hulk Hogan's beer? It will probably sell out now. I have not tried it. I actually haven't tried it. They don't have it in New Jersey yet. Apparently, so for those who don't know, Hogan came out with this new line of beer. It's like a craft beer. And he's been going on tour and debuting in different states. I don't know what happens with that thing now. You're right. It probably is just going to sell out just because Hulkster passed away. Carlos in EHC doesn't get the show. Matthew in Mays Landing. Thank you, Matthew. Matthew, you're all good. Appreciate you, even though you're a Yankees fan. I don't hate the Yankees as much as some other people do. By the way, Jeff from Ocean City said he's going to try to take the 9-for-9 challenge on, or at least he says he's telling people to take the challenge. Are you telling me to take the challenge? Those who don't know it, so the idea is 9 hot dogs and 9 beers and 9 innings. See, the problem is the games start at 1 o'clock. I'm going to be on the radio for the Phillies watch party on Saturday for part of the show. So I kind of can't take the challenge. Oh, my goodness. Call from LBI. I get the show. Everyone gets the show. Even Nate gets the show. Do I call you Nate from EHT? Is that what we call you? Nate from EHT. Okay. I work with Nate. Nate's the guy who works in the building. He's actually helping me out with something behind the scenes. But if you ever see the stuff on TikTok, he's one of the main catalysts for the TikTok reels and the Instagram reels at 973 for all of you social media people. I'm not on TikTok, but I've seen the TikTok videos and they're good. I've seen the Instagram videos. I can confirm those are good. So I'm just saying. Nate gets the show. Everyone gets the show but Tom and Ventnor. No, this texter is a winner. Ray in EHT. He says, I get the show. It's called the Sports Bash. We're supposed to be bashing on everyone. I want to know why we kept Paul George on the Sixers. Oh, my goodness. Ray and EHT might just be in the running for tickets just for that one. That's a great text. Oh, my goodness. All right. We'll wrap the show coming up next. I didn't get to any of these Fangio bites. I'll see if I have time to squeeze them on the other side. Josh Hennig hanging out with you, filling in for Mike Gill on the Sports Bash on 97.3 ESPN.
It's the Sports Bash with Mike Gill.
Do I have everybody's attention now?
On 97.3 ESPN and the 97.3 ESPN free mobile app.
It's hurricane season. Are you prepared? Don't get left in the dark. Calvi Electric, a certified Generac dealer, has you covered. From installation to maintenance, they're your go-to experts for Generac generators, ensuring your home stays powered through any storm. A Generac home standby generator will automatically restore power to your home during an outage, so your life goes on uninterrupted. Put your trust in Calvi Electric, the premier electrical contractor serving South Jersey for over 115 years. Visit calvielectric.com today or call 609-345-0151.
Actual price will depend on product and subscription plan. Featured products are compounded drug products, which the FDA does not approve or verify for safety, effectiveness, or quality. Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider who will determine if appropriate. See website for details, restrictions, and important safety information.
Want a boost in and out of the bedroom? Hims has you covered. Introducing a new 2-in-1 approach to level up your game. Tadalafil for better bedroom performance and zinc for testosterone support. Put it all together and you've got what you need to turn things all the way up. Getting started is simple. Just go to hims.com/radio to start your free online visit. Through Hims, you can access ED treatments including pills, chews, and more. 100% online. No office visits, no pharmacy lines. Just fill out a simple intake form and a licensed medical provider will determine if treatment's right for you. If prescribed, it ships free and discreetly to your door. Find affordable treatment options at up to 95% less than brand names at hims.com/radio. That's hims.com/radio. HIMS.com/RADIO.
The Kitchen Shop has a brand new home, now open at 6422 Black Horse Pike in Egg Harbor Township, right next to the Inquisition Tattoo Shop, with a bigger showroom and more displays. They now offer full bathroom remodeling too. Brand new kitchen and bath displays are arriving now. Vanities coming soon. Celebrate 20 plus years in business in their 4th of July sale. 5% off all cabinets, plus an extra 5% off for military and first responders. Call 609-432-7647 or visit thekitchenshop.net. The Kitchen Shop, voted best of the press gold.
Comcast Business High Five Hotline. What's the state of your excitement?
I signed my business up for the 5-year price lock guarantee, and I can't stop high-fiving people. High five!
Okay, deep breath. You're in a good place. You signed your business up for 5 years at gig speed, internet, and advanced security, all on our ultra-reliable network.
Gig speeds and advanced security? I'm so stoked!
Yep, and you get it at a great rate that's locked in for 5 years.
Woo!
The high five is just your body's way of saying, I'm winning.
So this is natural.
High-fiving everyone you see in a state of business savings enthusiasm? Totally natural.
Sweet! Thank you! Thank you! High five, everybody! High five!
The Comcast Business 5-year price lock guarantee is back, but only for a limited time, so sign your business up today.
High five!
Comcast Business, powering possibilities.
Ends 9/21/25. New customers only. Guaranteed rate applies to monthly service charge on qualifying internet bundle, excluding taxes and fees. Other restrictions apply.
Hey, if you have ugly yellow toe fungus, you gotta hear about the secret 2-minute trick that I found for my husband. It works from both the inside and the outside. Thousands of people are using it to get rid of their toe fungus. You can check it out at crystalflesh.com. Jake started off with a small spot on his big toe and then it spread and got really bad. His toes were nasty. It was so embarrassing. He was afraid to take his socks off. He hid his yellow and crumbly toes from everyone. He tried everything to get rid of it. Nothing helped. And then we found crystalflesh.com. It was the only thing that worked. In just a few weeks, his toes looked amazing. He's now walking around barefoot again. You guys need to try this. I'm telling you, this stuff is different. It's not sold in stores, but go check it out at crystalflesh.com. They'll even let you try it risk-free so you have nothing to lose. But whatever you do, don't let it get worse. You don't have to live with this anymore. Go check it out now. Just click over to crystalflesh.com.
Get in the zone, AutoZone. Welcome to AutoZone. What are you working on today? Hey, that's the spirit. Right now, we're celebrating free with a free STP oil filter when you buy 5 quarts of oil and free Duralast brake pads when you buy 2 rotors. Like always, free battery testing, charging, and recycling at every store. Celebrate free at AutoZone, now through July 28th. Get in the zone, AutoZone. Restrictions apply.
Recovering from an addiction is an individual accomplishment. A young mother who chose recovery to care for her family. A high school athlete overcoming opioid addiction. A couple celebrating his recovery. Everyone's recovery is different, and there's no shame in asking for help. Call 844-REACH-NJ. Trained counselors are available 24/7 to help you find the recovery option that's best for you. Tell us your story, and let's begin your recovery today.
You're listening to The Sports Bash with Mike Gill on 97.3 ESPN and the free mobile app.
Final segment of the Sports Bash here on a Thursday edition on 97.3 ESPN. Mike Gill will be back in tomorrow for the full 4 hours. We will be broadcasting live from Tropicana Atlantic City showroom leading up to Box Insider Promotions Friday Night Fights in Atlantic City. I will contact the winners of the tickets after the show. By the way, someone texted me. This is the last Thursday without football until February. Isn't that beautiful? Football is back next week. I mean, they're training camp this week. But the games return next week. We'll get more into the Fangio stuff tomorrow when Mike Gill returns here on 97.3 ESPN. I had some Fangio stuff lined up, but between Hogan passing away and the Phillies' bizarre loss last night, and it's been a wild day. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. Before we get out of here, I will say this about the Phillies, because they got this year with the Yankees coming up this weekend. And, of course, every day we talk about Phillies matchups brought to you by Instant Services, the Tri-State area's premier HVAC plumbing and electrical service provider. Go to instantservices.com. See how you can win 4 Phillies Hall of Fame Club tickets. This is going to be an interesting weekend because you won 2 out of 3. You won your first series in the last 4 series against the Red Sox this week. 2 interesting notes about the Yankees and Phillies games this weekend. Number 1, Apple TV Plus Friday night. Not on the local Friday night. I guess it's a good thing that Taiwan Walker's pitching in that game, right? Or maybe it's not a good thing. Maybe that means they'll pitch well. The rest of the series, Suarez and Wheeler are your pitching matchups. Suarez versus Stroman for Saturday afternoon. Wheeler versus Rodon on Sunday afternoon. Walker versus Warren on Friday night. Don't forget the 1 o'clock Yankees versus Phillies Saturday afternoon game. All right, thanks everybody for listening. Thanks to Nick's Nuggets. Thanks to Andrew DeCecco. Mike Gill will be back tomorrow with a full 4 hours here on 97.3 ESPN. I'm Josh Hennig. I've been hanging out with you. I'll be with Mike Gill tomorrow at the Trop in Atlantic City. Take care, everybody.
Unsportsmanlike with Evan Cohen, Chris Canty,